All these bro niggas call me throw up. And I told him pour up, no show. She was sipping on the drink on thought. And my bro, he moving coke. She said on the gang, that's your wifey. Baby, it's no use, said politely. Cut the hundreds and fifties, excite me. Got a new second whip and we switching them lanes. Running them bands, what we do for the game. Shorty want class, so she fuck for the fame. Look at my eyes, man, I swear I won't change. Losing my mom, and I swear I can't think. Took all the love and she throwing the sink. Got me losing my mom, and I swear I can't think. Got my little bro and he rolling the stank. Fuck with 100, I got a range. Ain't too long back when these bitches ain't need me. Now she my thot, said she can't wait to see me. Mama just cussed, said we up on the TV. Ride with my bitch in a pink Lamborghini. Hit the lip, we gotta stay low. I been getting money on the payroll. She ain't finna play me like Play-Doh. And they all in a slammer, that's free all the guys. Tryna kill Bron, gon' ride for the slime. Count up the bands like 100 times. I be all about you like I'm all about mine. I don't really care, cause I'm living on my best life. And fuck how you feel. I'ma just go and just call me a meal. Benzo, bitch, you know the deal. I'ma go call me a grill. All these bro niggas call me throw up. And I told him pour up, no show. She was sipping on the drink on thought. And my bro, he moving coke and no cold. She said on the gang, that's your wifey. Baby, it's no use, said politely. Cut the hundreds and fifties, excite me. All these bro niggas call me throw up. All these bro niggas call me throw up. All these bro niggas call me throw up. All these bro niggas call me throw up.
All right, we back. We are back. 2 days in a row. I can't guarantee this gonna continue, but 2 days in a row. 2 days in a row, my guys. What's good? Om Patel already in the chat. My God, Juju in the chat. Domo in the chat. What's good with y'all? What is good with y'all? Swervo said consistent bar. This is a fact. This is a fact. I ain't gonna lie. Yo, today's stream not gonna be as long as last stream. I ain't gonna cap. What's it called? Before I hopped on, I was planning on hopping on at 10. Hold on, let me pause this. I was planning on hopping on at 10, not 10, at 6, but I couldn't, which was 45 minutes ago. But I couldn't because my headphones was dead. So I charged it for like a solid 30 minutes. So I can't guarantee this right here about to stay, you feel me, about to stay good like this. My headphones might die in like an hour and some change. But we streaming today, hopefully. What's good with y'all though? What's good with y'all? My God, Joshua says back to back ain't no way. X said 2 days in a row. Swerve was, I think I did read your comment a little bit earlier. What's good, Kai Mel? What's good, X? I said it was good, X, like twice. I'm wilding. But yeah, I did want to watch some a couple of things. First things first, I want to watch some of the anime scale videos because I know some of you guys actually do like that, but also some fan animation. It's crazy because I just said fan animation and this right here is on my what's this called homepage. I was about to say For You page. This ain't TikTok. Yo, Baara, you like Star Wars? I never really watched Star Wars. That's the crazy part. Yo, to be honest, most of my childhood, and this right here was like for most of the cartoons and not cartoons, but series and stuff like that. When I was a child, I really spent most of my childhood playing basketball. Like facts. Like I played basketball from like pretty much up until like my junior year of high school. I still played my junior and senior year, but not for school. So yeah, most of my time been in that. But I definitely did want to like kind of binge watch Star Wars, Harry Potter. I did see Harry Potter the first one, but Star Wars, Harry Potter, and also the Marvel movies. I always wanted to binge watch. The Marvel movies that I did binge watch. What's it called? Yo, I always look up what I'm talking about. I don't know why. But Iron Man, I think I seen all of Iron Man until he actually did die. And I did. Oh, I don't want to spoil it. I think it's only 8 people in here. Imagine if 8 people didn't really see Iron Man. But no. I seen all of Iron Man. I seen a little bit of Thor. After Thor, I probably seen. I don't even know. But this right here was all binge watched like within the last year. By the way, So I'm catching back up. My guy says Harry Potter is elite. My guy says Juju says basketball is great. This is a fact, bro. This is a fact. But yeah, so who you got for rookie of the year? Scotty or Mobley? Yo, keep it 1,000. At the beginning of the year, I had Mobley. Right now, I honestly don't know. Like I think you have to give it to Mobley just because Jarrett Allen got injured, and of course Mobley took a bigger step. But Scotty's he's like a fire hydrant, bro. He does everything. It's like he rebounds. He's like the point guard. He guards bigs. He guards guards. He does damn near everything. I don't want to talk too much about ball. I tell you, I know more about ball than I know about boards. So this is a fact, and I know a lot about boards. So you feel me? But yeah, so I want to get into some reactions. Imagine my home screen refreshed. It didn't. I might as well watch this first, right? No. I want to watch some of his videos because he has some like elite fan animation, but not the not this one. But I didn't see this one, but he got some good fan animation. I want to watch a couple of them. My guy had the Raid sponsor for this for this video too. This is fire. Yo, I forgot. I think Mello asked me, do I really play Raid because I did a Raid sponsorship, bro. I'm telling you, I play Raid a lot. I play Raid. Probably, I'd say almost every single day now. Almost every single day. Like I said, Baara, you watch Jujutsu Kaisen? I don't watch Juju that much. I said Jujutsu Kaisen. My God, Juju, you got. But Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't watch Jujutsu Kaisen that much. But I seen like 5 episodes. I seen the last episode of the first 4 episodes. That's pretty much it. What's good, Ladino? My God, Moon Eater said cap. What I'm capping about. No, this is a fact. I watched like the last episode of Jujutsu Kaisen by mistake, and then watched the first 4 episodes. I might try to finish it because as of right now, it's only 24 episodes that's actually on. I forgot where I was watching it. I might have been watching. I'm not even sure where I was watching it, but it was only 24 episodes available, so that's not really that much. But it's decent. It's decent. My God, Juju, yeah, you go out, bro. But I did want to take a look at this real quick since we talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. The thing about the reason why I don't really know about this or why I didn't really want to watch Jujutsu Kaisen is because I don't really know how strong a lot of people are. Like, let's keep it 1,000. We know how strong the Kakashi guy is, and right as of right now, the first 4 episodes, we knew how strong Semi, the actual main character, was. I even forgot his name. This is crazy. We won't continue.
This video is sponsored by Raid.
Bruh, 20 seconds in, bro. You guys.
Raid Shadow Legends have. And this month, Raid just released an insane amount of new levels.
Alright, we here. Holy. This right here was like, never mind. This is definitely didn't happen in the first 4 episodes, but the monsters definitely look familiar. I was just about to say that. And this is the main character. I forgot his name. I don't know how I forgot his name, but I forgot his name. My guy says that Yuta's arc was a 10 out of 10. I gotta see it. Was Yuta's arc, is it animated already, or is it just in the manga for right now? I gotta see. Holy. I definitely know what that is.
Huh?
Tell me Madara is not about to eat this thing, bro. like imagine he ate this and came back to the Naruto verse. Like, imagine. Holy. This is fire. Wait a minute. Are these Renegons under his eyes? This right here is actually fire. This design is legitimately good. I can't even cap. Like, yeah, I had to get his hair out the way. Yeah, these are definitely Renegons. This design is fire. Imagine, I wish he had his Mangekyo Sharingan activated. It made this clip a lot better. Maybe he's gonna activate it and it's gonna be like an elite transition. I don't know. My guy says, I'm telling you, Sword Art Online is fire. I've always heard about Sword Art Online. I never really decided to watch it. I think that's actually on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken, or Netflix or Hulu, which is where I watch anime most of the time. But I don't know. I might tap in. Holy. That's it? Wait a minute. That's it? Oh no, we still in the trenches. He's the king of curse. I've never seen this version of my guy. I ain't gonna lie. I've only seen like the playful version of him. Never this version. Wouldn't at this point would be this right here would be like an elite point? Well, an elite time to actually use the genjutsu. Like, there is nothing my guy can actually use to get out of genjutsu. My guy Free Game is in the chat, bro. You seen Jujutsu Kaisen, bro? So you probably know about this a lot more than I do. Tell me if Madara could put my guy under a genjutsu. I feel like this would be a lot more elite if I actually seen this in the anime, because this right here, it feels like just a legendary place inside the mind space of the main character. It seems like a legendary place. Oh, you talking about Sukuna? What's it called? I seen him. Well, I don't know if that's the main character's name. I know there's a difference between the demon and this guy right here. The demon was definitely on demon time, but him, I don't know about that. Well, maybe he's taking him over. Holy. Bro, I was not expecting that. $20 fingers? 20? Oh, it's the demon talking. I'm still thinking it's the actual guy talking. My bad. Yeah, this right here is actually believable. Madara could actually take over something like this. Oh, it's more. He said Kakashi. Yeah, is that like an ongoing joke or a meme in the Jujutsu Kaisen space? It's like that guy definitely looks like Kakashi. The mask and everything, white hair. Like, let's keep it 1,000. We all know, right? I'm gonna Juju in the chat said the big Free Game. This is a fact. But yeah, so I did what's it called. Outside of this, speaking of outside of this, I did want to actually see what other fan animations he had. But I want to watch. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but his name is like totally. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure. Should I? We'll probably get to that later. But I definitely do want to watch that. Want to watch some of his videos sometime when I'm streaming. But I wanted to watch Swag Kage's video talking about Itachi versus the Five Kage because I never actually seen that. And when I seen it at first, I'm like, yo, I want to watch this, but I'm probably have to watch it on stream. My guy says, yeah, Gojo is definitely Kakashi Part 2, but Gojo is on Demon Time too. He probably is. No, I definitely knew from the first couple episodes. I knew that he was actually good, but I didn't know how, like, you feel me? It feels like a running joke. But yeah, I'm glad it is because that thing is obvious. If Madara was in on Attack on Titan Part 2, the rumbling, wow. But we just gotta make sure Melo not in the chat because he ain't see Attack on Titan yet. But this right here is something I definitely relate to a lot more. Like I said, Gojo is a cooler version of Kakashi. He's actually OP. Yo, I really gotta see it, bruh. I really, really gotta see it. Imagine if they got facts about Gojo. Like, you know how back in the day, Shino and Cho used to make fact videos, or pretty much everybody now make fact videos about different characters. Imagine if there's like a fact video about Gojo. I'd probably watch it. But I definitely want to see this first. Yo, speaking of, when this right here actually happened, bruh, I was absolutely... Yo, because Attack on Titan is the type of anime where you really gotta be plugged in, partner. You gotta be plugged in. I haven't seen Attack on Titan in a minute, and I just like... Not really a minute, like, let's get that. Probably like 2 weeks, and I kind of forgot where I was. I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on? But then I kind of remembered, like, probably like 5 minutes into the episode, that this man, Eren, is actually about to kill everybody else on the planet. Like... To be honest, this right here is a plot that I really like, though, because you don't really know who's on the right side. I mean, obviously, they're trending towards the fact that Eren is kind of wrong, but originally, it was like, would you save your whole, let's even say country, would you save your whole country and expense for everybody else on the planet? Like that, I don't even know. Like, he's not even saving the country, he's just saving, like, what is it, like, right at this particular point, like, just a couple hundreds of people? I don't even know. Like, bro, I couldn't imagine. Hold up. I just want to get out the black screen. I couldn't imagine, like, just chilling one day and all of a sudden you see a bunch of 50-foot Titans just walking towards you, bro. Like, imagine. Bro, that gotta be a crazy sight. Me and Melo were yesterday talking about how, you feel me, if Twitter was like around back in the day, there would be like a lot of memes for every single major event. I'm pretty sure people in the villages would probably be tweeting out memes about this if they were actually about to die. I ain't gonna lie. That's really how Twitter memes are nowadays. And Madara finally pulling up. Legitimate, what could Madara, like... Matter of fact, I'm capping. Madara could do a bunch of things. I think first thing, like, just the easiest part, if he has the Rinnegan, I think Almighty Push would probably take a couple of the Titans out. Not necessarily take them out, but probably knock a couple of them over or something like that. And he'd probably definitely be able to take down a lot of the Titans. Like, 50 meters tall. My bad. My math completely up. Imagine seeing 50-meter Titans walking towards you.
Huh?
Holy. No. This site right here has to be one of the worst sites of all time, partner. The only person that really, like, Madara would probably be looking at this like, this is light work. This is slight work, but hey, bro, I'm telling you, bro, this right here is terrifying. Ladino says one swing of the sword. Yo, that's facts, though. That's facts. The Susanoo will put in so much work right here.
これが最後の戦い。俺の力とお前らの力。
Holy. Bruh, real talk, that would probably be enough to set my guy off. That would 100% be enough to set him off.
現実を見ろ。この世は思い通りにはいかぬことばかり。長く生きれば生きるほど。
My guy says, how tall is the Susanoo? That's a good question, bro. I'm not even sure. I might look it up after this. That's it? Holy. Huh?
死んでも死んだ後も。
Yo, I don't know why, but this version of Eren is so hilarious, bro. Like, this cannot be a legitimate Titan, bro. This cannot.
死んで。憎しみが生まれる。
I hate Spider. Oh. Did I miss something? Holy! Oh my goodness! Holy! Yo, this right here is actually realistic. I'm not gonna lie, this right here is actually realistic. But I don't think just one boulder is enough to stop my guy Eren. I think he probably have to stack a couple of boulders up there. But this right here is actually fire. This right here is actually fire. Yo, I'm looking at how tall a Susanoo. Wait a minute. Based on the manga and anime depictions, we pegged the height of the perfect Susanoo to be around 100 meters at head height. So the Susanoo is probably the Susanoo is taller. If that right there is actually correct, it is taller than the 50-foot Titans, which is crazy. My guy says, bro got the Obito treatment. Holy, hey man. My guy says that's a meteor fan. Yo, free, yo, free game. Yo, you threw me off yesterday when you switched your accounts, bro. I ain't gonna lie. You threw me off. You threw me way off, bro. Manga X says, anybody in here read the My Hero Academia manga? I haven't read the manga in a minute, bro. The last time that I did read the manga, I kind of left off when they had when they moved into the dorms. I forgot which arc that was, but they moved into dorms. Yo, y'all be typing some chats, but I'll be forgetting to read it in a moment, bro. I'll be forgetting to read it. I'm trying to look back. Bro, I can't even look back, bro. I ain't gonna cap, bro. But let's see what. Oh yeah. So the video I want to watch, I want to show you guys. So Itachi versus. Oh yeah, I just seen it. The Five Kage. I was about to actually type out FIVE Five Kage. This one right here. Now, here's the thing. I think it really matters which Five Kage we're talking about. You see what I'm saying? Hypothetically, if it's the Five Kage that we
Hey everybody, how's it going? So this is not at all what I expected my next video to be about. As a matter of fact,
I think if it's the Five Kage that we did see, what's his name, Sasuke pull up on, where it's Danzo, I think that's that's very, very different than everybody else. What I will say though, it is going to be very tempting, especially which version of Itachi it is. Like hypothetically, if it's like the healthy Itachi, and no one really knows exactly how strong the healthy Itachi actually is, but it's current if it's actually the healthy Itachi. I think it's actually a very good question, to be honest. But if it's like one of the weakest versions of Itachi, then I'm not completely sure. I mean, there's a bunch of elite ninjas there. Like, let's keep it at that. So you got one of the, in my personal opinion, one of the most underrated Kages out there, the Mizu Kage, who literally almost killed Sasuke when he pulled up on her. So it'll be a gauntlet, bro. It'll be a gauntlet. Oh, and the Tsuchikage with what is it called? Particle style. I don't know how he'd actually catch Itachi in the particle style, but hypothetically, if he gets the particle style on let's say what everybody likes to bring up, the Totsuka blade and like the Yada mirror, they're kaput. Like, so it's like they can actually counter things like that. So this is a good question. My guy says sick Itachi might go 4 or 5. Honestly, he might. I don't think that sick Itachi fully wins, and in fact, we don't even know exactly how powerful I think full max Itachi actually is. Like, because when he did fight against Itachi, he was still kind of holding back a bit because he did actually want to draw Orochimaru out. Yo, the crazy thing is, not a lot of people even know that Sasuke got Orochimaru pulled fully out. Like, some people think that he could actually go into the curse mark, which is crazy. I mean, I wish that was possible. Like, he'd be able to fly. Like, outside of the Rinnegan, we haven't necessarily seen outside of the Rinnegan and the Susanoo, we haven't seen Sasuke fly. And even when he did have the Rinnegan, Sasuke never really flew. In a manga where Boruto can fly conceptually with the Karma Seal, and of course when Momoshiki takes him over, Kawaki as well a little bit eventually. Hopefully that happens. And also Naruto had his ability as well. He probably can't fly, but I don't know. I think Sasuke deserves the ability to fly. But let's get into the video. Let me stop stalling. My guy says Asta Folds Kawaki 1v1. This is a load of cap. Matter of fact, I haven't even seen Hunter x Hunter, so I can't even speak on it. But in my personal opinion, if we just going by what we know about Kawaki in the manga, I think it's highly unlikely.
I was planning on talking about Shisui, but then a little while ago, somebody tagged me in a Twitter conversation, and to keep a long story short,
a live Itachi would have washed the Five Kage. I don't know about that one, but you can make the argument that a live Itachi, depending on which alive Itachi version we're talking about, that Itachi could probably beat the Five Kage, but wash, I don't know about that.
Up asking me if I thought Itachi could beat the Five Kage, like all at once by himself. And my first instinct was to say, absolutely not. The Five Kage would rip him to pieces. But then it sat.
Which is I ain't gonna say first answer. I think they'd beat him, not rip him to pieces.
Me for a few days, and I thought about it some more, and I was like, well, maybe I'm not giving Itachi as much credit as he deserves. Now, I want to make sure it's clear that when I said the Five Kage would beat him, I was taking Itachi's sickness and near blindness into account. And in this video, I'm still gonna do that, but I'm also gonna be looking at a hypothetical prime Itachi that isn't sick and isn't on the verge of blindness, but is
okay. All right, so if we're doing that, then yeah, Itachi probably beats the Five Kage. He probably beats the Five Kage.
Just as powerful as he was when he fought Sasuke. Now, the cool thing about this fight is that we can use Sasuke's fight with the Five Kage as a point of reference. And now, Sasuke didn't fight all 5 of them at the same time, and he fought Danzo in place of Tsunade. But still, all things considered, he did pretty well, and we can sort of use this to form an idea of how well Itachi might do if he were to fight against them as well. Now, before I talk about anything else, I want to say that I think the most important thing to take away from Sasuke's fight with the Kage is that they were strong enough to force him to use his Mangekyo Sharingan so much that he ended up going blind.
This is a fact. I mean, here's the thing. Another misconception about Sasuke or this Five Kage summer thing. People a lot of times like to bring up the fact that Sasuke was like super, like, you feel me, emo, he was hard and everything like that going up against the Five Kage. This man almost died a solid like 3 separate times. Like, he literally almost died 3 separate times. Might be 2, might be 3. I forgot which one specifically, but I remember the Mizukage almost killed him. The Tsuchikage almost killed him. And who else? I forgot who, but there might have been a 3rd time. But Sasuke legitimately was pushed to the brink, and Sasuke should not have been in that battle to begin with. I mean, if we're talking about someone who could actually solo the Five Kage, Kakashi's not even in there. But we're talking the likes of like what we're talking about right now: Itachi, Pain, Obito, the likes of that. Sasuke was never there yet. He's never there.
Now, even if you don't think Itachi needs his Susanoo to beat the Five Kage, I think it's a pretty big stretch to say that he could beat them without his Sharingan altogether. And there are a lot of things that imply that this guy was on the verge of blindness during his fight with Sasuke. First of all, of course, there's the fact that Sasuke went blind pretty much immediately after he got his Mangekyo Sharingan. And I know this is because he used it like an absurd amount throughout the time period that he had it, but he only used it in like 2 fights. His fight against B and his fight against the Five Kage, the same people that Itachi would be fighting in this hypothetical. Also, Sasuke had just gotten his Mangekyo Sharingan, whereas this Itachi has had his...
I think that's valid. That's valid because we've seen it multiple times throughout the whole entire series. The more Sasuke was actually fighting, the stronger he was getting with his Mangekyo Sharingan, and even though that was kind of like the peak that he got with his Mangekyo Sharingan, I think that if Sasuke would have had the Mangekyo Sharingan a lot longer, he'd have probably knew a lot more about what he could potentially do with the Mangekyo Sharingan and how he could actually magnify its actual abilities. But at this particular point, it was like he was completely enraged, didn't really care about how efficient he was using the Mangekyo Sharingan, which really showed. Like, let's keep it that.
For a while. And in his fight with Sasuke, we literally see from his perspective that his vision is really blurry at this point in his life. It's clear that Itachi has used his Mangekyo Sharingan a fair bit, and in a fight against the Five Kage all at the same time, I don't think that they would last him for that much longer. Something I'd like to point out is that when Sasuke went blind, it was pretty shortly after his Susanoo had fully evolved. And of course, as we see in Itachi's fight with Sasuke, Itachi's Susanoo is fully evolved by the time this fight happens. So let's just say, for the sake of simplicity, since I'm going to talk about an Itachi that doesn't have this problem later in the video, that we can all agree that Itachi's Mangekyo isn't gonna last him for very long in this fight. So once his blindness like fully sets in, he's not gonna have his Susanoo, and he's not gonna have either Amaterasu or Tsukuyomi. It's really hard for me to say that Itachi has any chance against the Five Kage under these circumstances.
I don't know about any chance, but as I said earlier, he'd probably lose. I think a lot of times we make it so, black and white. I think we should talk in terms of like out of 10. Itachi would probably lose to the Five Kage 3 times out of 10 if this right here is his actual form. Well, not 3. He'd lose to them 7 times out of 10. He'd win 3 of them. I think that's pretty much essentially how it is. There are worlds in which this Itachi could still beat the Five Kage just because he's just that OP.
They were almost able to seal Madara, and okay, I know it's like sort of a joke at this point that I bring up Madara in like every versus battle, even the ones he doesn't participate in. But can we all agree that he's at least a little bit relevant in this fight, since we're talking about the Five Kage, and like the only time we ever see all of them fight as a group?
The crazy part is that I even brought this up on a pod. They actually forced Madara into like a near-death experience. Like not even the Five Kage, just Gaara and Naruto. Like Mangekyo Sharingan Madara was like literally, or EMS Madara was actually like struggling a bit versus actual KCM Naruto and Gaara, which is cool. I mean, Gaara is my favorite character. That just brings up more points for Gaara. Not only that, we also got taken to the fact when Sasuke pulled up to the Five Kage Summit, the one that stopped Sasuke from absolutely obliterating my guy. Who's his name? Killer B, or A. Not Killer B, was Gaara, but it was
against Madara. Anyway, so the Five Kage were almost able to seal Madara, right? The only reason they couldn't is because he whipped out his perfect Susanoo, and there was really nothing they could do about that. But even with all of his like Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan Rinnegan, Hashirama Cell wood style wood clone nonsense, even with multiple full body Susanoos, all of this other crazy stuff that they had to deal with, the Five Kage were able to nearly beat Madara. You could maybe argue that he was holding back, but I don't think any amount of holding back is going to make up for the difference between Madara's arsenal of wood release, all the Rinnegan powers, Susanoo wood clones, all this crazy stuff, versus Itachi's like Genjutsu and Fireball Jutsu once his Sharingan has run out, right? So again, seeing as the Five Kage beat a significantly more powerful enemy, at least without taking his perfect Susanoo into account, I don't think there's any way to argue that Itachi stands a chance here. Now moving forward, I'm gonna do Itachi a favor and assume he doesn't have to worry about any of these things. No near blindness, no sickness, none of that. He's completely healthy. And if we pit Itachi up against the Five...
Okay, this is where you start to really get into the conversation. Now, if you would ask me this question, now again, I'd personally pick Itachi. Itachi has a lot of advantages, and personally, I think Genjutsu would probably be the most immediate thing. Now, it'd be a little bit different to successfully trap somebody in a Genjutsu, or let's say a weak Genjutsu, because there are 5 of them. We know the biggest way to actually get out of a Genjutsu is to have someone knock you out of a Genjutsu. A la Naruto and Kurama, and etc. Killer being his guy, and of course when Naruto fought against Itachi the first time. But I still do believe if Itachi has if Itachi's like fully full, you feel me, and he has the ability to actually place someone under a Tsukiyomi in midst of a battle, it might be actually difficult to pull someone out of that. Like just like how Kakashi was like in the Tsukiyomi, and of course not only that, the mental toll of the Tsukiyomi is like absolutely insane. You could be under it for 1 second, of course, feel like you've been under it for an absolute eternity. So of course, that right there is going to be a very good thing, especially if Itachi is healthy, because if he's healthy, he could potentially use it. Like I ain't gonna say he's gonna be able to spam it, but it's not necessarily gonna be like when he tried to use it against Sasuke and he was like completely debilitated after Sasuke broke out of it. But
Kage like this, that does actually affect things substantially. Now, since I didn't really do this before, let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty of Itachi's capabilities. They matter a whole lot more in this round than they did in the last one, since this one isn't a one-sided stomp. And I want to start by talking about Itachi's speed. A lot of people have spread the idea that Itachi is significantly faster than the Raikage, and I was guilty of doing this in the past as well. This is because he was able to briefly keep pace with QB Chakra Mode Naruto when the two of them fought during the war.
I've always said that Naruto wasn't necessarily going all out in this particular moment, partly because Itachi wasn't really going all out as well. I will see what he got.
And of course, Naruto displayed pretty definitively that he was faster than A was. Now, I think this exchange between Naruto and Itachi has been blown way out of proportion. First of all, the two of them are only seen trading blows for about 1 page, and there's nothing on this page to suggest that Naruto is trying his hardest. As a matter of fact,
Exactly. Exactly. Like, I always thought it was like kind of crazy that people were actually taking this like as serious. Like even the Nagato thing, and people always bring up, hey, Nagato versus Pain versus Itachi during that time. Itachi was at first, you feel me, they were playing around, using his hand. A little bit later, they were serious, and of course, Pain, when he got fully taken over, you guys know, but I ain't gonna
opposite is actually implied. The two of them spend the entire page talking, and it's not just regular fight banter. Naruto is asking Itachi questions that he considers the answers to very important, stuff about the Uchiha clan massacre, and by extension, stuff about Sasuke. This would have been Naruto's only opportunity to ask Itachi if Obito was telling the truth about why the Uchiha clan was wiped out. So I think it's totally fair to assume that Naruto's mind was a bit preoccupied on this page, and that affected his performance. Now, this would be one thing if Naruto had just run circles around the Raikage, but that's not what happened at all. It's not like he outsped him so extremely that even being able to touch Naruto is a sign that somebody is as fast or faster than A was. Naruto got hit a lot in this fight, and he even says verbatim that A can keep up with Biju mode. It took Naruto's complete focus just for him to avoid...
Which is... I've always tried to compare this version of Naruto to like a Minato, and we understand Minato fought against this, well, not this version. Well, he fought against A. I don't know. It's very difficult to actually compare this Naruto to Minato. Some people say that Minato is like equal to KCM2 Naruto. I'm not even sure about that. I guess KCM2 Naruto is way too strong. But could we compare him to this? I don't know.
One of the Raikage's attacks. And him dodging this one single attack is treated as like a super triumphant moment. Plus, he's still at a negative record for attacks dodged versus attacks he was hit by. And I'm not saying that the Raikage is like faster than Naruto or anything because of all of this, because that's obviously not what Kishimoto was trying to convey when he had Naruto dodge that attack at the end there. But what I am saying is that there's a lot more information present that implies the two of
You're a fast old man, Raikage. Yo, Naruto was really a comedian.
them are similar in speed than information that implies that Naruto is way faster than the Raikage is. Now, all that said, if you were able to prove that Itachi and Naruto were about the same speed, then you could reliably claim that he's faster than the Raikage by at least a little bit. And I've seen some people attempt to do this by claiming that since Itachi and Sasuke should have been about the same speed, and Sasuke and Naruto should have been about the same speed, then that would therefore mean Itachi is about as fast as Naruto is. The thing is, for this to be the case,
I want to see what my guy Five Kage got to say against that, because if I'm in a debate with my guy Melo and he brings this part up, I gotta concede. What could you say? I thought this right here was like heavily implied throughout the series that, hey, Sasuke wasn't necessarily as well. that crazy behind Naruto. They were relatively equal, and of course, in this particular fight right here, not only did Itachi seem to be speed-wise on par with Sasuke, but also he seemed to be like legitimately better than Sasuke. So, but then again, this right here is what's it called? Ito Tensei, Itachi, and I don't know. Ito Tensei is supposed to like weaken you, but Itachi looked extremely OP. Yeah, I'm just put it like that. He looked extremely OP, especially fighting alongside EMS Sasuke.
We have to agree on something that just isn't true, and that's that Sasuke is as fast as KCM Naruto. For a while, I wasn't sure why people thought this, but after enough digging through forums, I think I found the answer, and the most common reason is that Sasuke claimed he was going to match his chakra level to Naruto's when they made the Inferno-style Rasen Shuriken that they teleported into Obito. I guess from this, people extrapolated that Sasuke matched his power, his speed, all of his physical attributes to Naruto, and that's just wrong. First of all, this was just a temporary thing, and it required Sasuke to use his Sharingan to do it. And second of all, I thought it was pretty clear that he meant he was doing this strictly for the purpose of combining his jutsu with Naruto's. They just needed to make sure that the jutsu wasn't made up of too much of one half. It needed to be 50% Wind style and 50% Inferno style. A few chapters before this, when they do the whole Inferno style Rasen Shuriken thing for the first time, Tobirama explains that this is pretty much exactly what they meant, and that it's something that any two-man squad
Yeah, this right here is this is why I watch Five Kage, bro. This is why I watch Five Kage, bro. Because I tell people I am not a power scale, but I am a debater. This right here is like elite information. I ain't gonna lie. This essentially like I won't say proves it, but it gives a lot of evidence to the fact that Sasuke and Naruto at that particular point weren't necessarily equal in regards to speed, which is crazy because Naruto gets faster and faster.
Can do, but
Sasuke too, but
and struggles to do. There would be no reason to compliment them for just being at the same level of strength. So I think it's absolutely 100% true that they were just trying to make sure one half of the combination didn't outweigh the other half, not that they were trying to match their power levels. Now, if you're still not convinced, this hypothesis kind of debunks itself over the course of the next few chapters. If Naruto and Sasuke had equal chakra levels or whatever, Sasuke wouldn't be saying things like, Naruto's got this much chakra, or this is Naruto now with perfect control over this much chakra. And if you
I think this is just more and more proof that he wasn't necessarily talking about it being equal in regards to like all fronts. 100%.
I don't want to take Sasuke's word for it. Hashirama himself compared Naruto's chakra reserves to his own, and there's just no world in which Sasuke's chakra is even somewhat close to being worth talking about in the same sentence as Hashirama's. He just doesn't have that much, especially if we're equating chakra levels to speed and power. If you want a direct speed comparison though, Sasuke wasn't able to hit Madara at all after he came back to life and stole Hashirama's Sage Mode, but the first time Naruto attempts to attack him, he manages to blitz him. There's also another
Wow, like these are all things, like small things that I never really noticed. I do want to go back because I'm pretty sure even, of course, Sasuke right here wasn't necessarily the Sasuke that was the big Sasuke, the big dog Sasuke with the Rinnegan, but I thought that Sasuke was still like fairly equal to Naruto. I mean, this right here, I wouldn't necessarily, again, Sakura fans out there, I don't want you guys to like, you feel me, come crazy at me or anything like that, but this right here kind of debunks the fact that Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura were like all equal during that time. I don't want to talk too much about Sakura or anything like that. Shout out to Sakura, she's elite. Hopefully she goes to the Mist Village. But
time Naruto attempts to attack him, he manages to blitz him. There's also another, admittedly much easier method of addressing this, and that is by showing that B, who is slower, albeit not by much, than the Raikage.
This is insane. Naruto is in base KCM2, no Sage Mode. Oh my goodness. This is insane.
And that is by showing that B, who is slower, albeit not by much, than the Raikage, didn't have any trouble avoiding every attack Itachi threw at him. Like, Itachi even trapped B in a Genjutsu, and almost immediately lobbed a whole bunch of Shuriken at him. And B not only broke out of the Genjutsu, but still had enough time to take out all 8 of his swords and deflect all of the Shuriken before they could hit him. Now,
speaking of, Killer B is extremely underrated, but impeccable speed feat.
The speed at which Itachi throws his shuriken isn't the same thing as the speed at which he can move his arms and legs, of course, but B also manages to grab Itachi with one of his tentacles and easily avoids an attack from behind. So you can take from this what you want. It doesn't necessarily imply that B is as fast as or faster than Itachi, but I think it's pretty good evidence to support the idea that Itachi hasn't completely eclipsed the Raikage in terms of speed. Now I keep seeing this thing, it's like this blog post on a power scaling wiki or something that tries to explain through the use of pixel measurements on the pages in the
I've always thought this right here was way too sketchy to legitimately go. Any pixel measurement, in my personal opinion, we gotta come on. I don't think the writers are like legitimately lining up the pixels to make sure that everything matches. Come on, bro. Masashi Kishimoto is in the trenches, and he's in what's it called? He's in the Kishimoto sweatshop, trying to make sure every single manga chapter get out there on time every single week. He wasn't lining up manga. He wasn't lining up pixels, bro. That's just my opinion.
And calculus or whatever, why Naruto is 73 times faster than the Raikage. And even if this wasn't just a hyper-literal misinterpretation of a scene composition choice made by the author of the manga, which is exactly what it is, but even if it wasn't that, that wouldn't change the fact that this is a massive outlier and completely contradicts everything else that happened up to this point in the fight. Personally, I feel like Itachi is, at best, just below the Raikage in terms of speed, and I'm more comfortable saying that he's probably substantially slower than the Raikage. Not like a tortoise in the hair difference or anything, but based on the fact that B didn't have any trouble reacting to him and he was blitzed multiple times by Sage Kabuto, I think it's totally reasonable to say that the Raikage is absolutely faster than him, even if it's
And again, this right here, in my personal opinion, is no, like, this isn't like a bad thing for Itachi. Like, supposedly the what's called the Raikage was like the fastest ninja in the shinobi world after Minato actually died. The statement by himself, we could have kind of even confirmed that by that. But saying that Itachi is slower than the Raikage, that right there isn't necessarily anything too crazy. But, of course, in a battle like this, when he's actually going up against the Raikage, that will 100% matter. If, hypothetically, Itachi would ever use a Tsukiyomi, he'd probably be well-suited using it on a character like the Raikage.
by a little bit. Now, I think this difference is going to be made even more noticeable thanks to teamwork between the Raikage and the Tsuchikage. We're shown during the Kage's fight with Madara that Onoki can drastically increase a person's speed by making them lighter, and increase their strength by a similar amount by making them heavier. Which brings me to my next point, that being Itachi's durability. So depending on which of the Kage we're talking about, this may or may not be relevant at all. Gaara is pretty much able to completely bypass Itachi's physical durability because he can just seal him underneath a lot of sand, and as long as we're not factoring in the Yata mirror, Onoki can just
the big Gaara in the cut. Talk to him. Yo, Swag Kage, let him know.
Mantle Itachi's body at like a molecular level. Mei can also use acid that's been shown to be capable of melting.
To melt the Susanoo, by the way. To melt the Susanoo. Like, imagine something being as hot as to melt the Susanoo. Something that's legitimately there, taking fireball juices after fireball juices. This lady actually melted the Susanoo.
A person's Susanoo, so chances are it would probably do a lot of damage to Itachi's skin. So that means the only two characters who I'm going to be comparing the
probably
attack power of to Itachi's durability are Tsunade and the Raikage, who are, unfortunately for Itachi, two of the hardest hitting characters in the whole series. And I feel like, especially if they get amped by Onoki, a couple good hits from them would probably be enough to kill him. Fortunately for Itachi, he has an indestructible shield, and the Five Kage can't really do anything about the Yatamir.
Again, the Yatamir, a couple of things, I think. Wait a minute, never mind. I was thinking about first things first, he could potentially like absorb the Yatamir, but none of the Five Kage have the ability to actually absorb chakra. I'm thinking about it right now. Nah. But again, with the Tsuchikage, he has the particle style. He could probably use particle style against it. I don't know how well it'd work, because it might just reflect the particle style, but it's possible, especially the Tosca Blade.
On the other hand, the Yatamir is unidirectional, like it doesn't wrap all the way around his Susanoo. So if the Kage are able to mount an assault from the sides or from behind, they can at least attempt to break through his Susanoo, but
which is another problem with the Susanoo. We understand that the Susanoo is extremely elite when it comes to defense, but it makes Itachi and anybody else that actually does use the Susanoo slow when it comes to elite ninjas. Modern Susanoo and things like that, let's keep it 1,000, it was Madara, so it wasn't necessarily going to be that big of a deal. But even when Madara was fighting against Gaara and Naruto, when he didn't necessarily have his Rinnegan out yet, he was still getting caught because he was moving, like, I wouldn't say significantly slower, but he was moving slower than he would if he didn't have the Susanoo out.
That's easier said than done because the Susanoo's pretty big, so I'd imagine that circling around it wouldn't be easy. And they also have the Totsuka Blade, which can one-shot any of them to worry about. Depending on where they fight, though, Gaara might be able to ignore the Yata Mirror. As we saw when Madara was first reanimated, Gaara was able to use the sand at his feet to straight up rip him out of his Susanoo. And I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be able to do the same thing to Itachi. Now, even if they fight somewhere without a bunch of sand, like a forest or something, Gaara should still be able to use Sand Tsunami or whatever to introduce a bunch of sand to the environment. If they fight somewhere indoors, like the Five Kage Summit venue or something, though, then this won't be an option. And under these circumstances, without a method of bypassing the Yata Mirror, things will be significantly more difficult for the Five Kage. But if Gaara is able to yoink Itachi out from his Susanoo, then I think the Raikage and Tsunade are going to be able to do a lot of damage to him. Like, during his fight with Sasuke, he was noticeably
I'm just thinking, bro. I'll talk about it after that.
Injured by 2 shurikens stabbing him in the leg. And I know some people are going to be like, but Swag, Itachi was just holding back. But
he was just holding back. And also, we're talking about Itachi in regards to him being healthy. Healthy Itachi does not get hit with this. I apologize. He just doesn't.
It doesn't make sense that he'd be able to, like, decrease the durability of his skin. Now, even if you do think Itachi made his skin softer so that the shuriken could penetrate him, that doesn't explain why he was worried when he realized that the shuriken were rigged. And I know some people are going to say, but it was just an act. He needed to convince Sasuke that he was trying his hardest, and
which is the logical point, because a lot of this essentially was Itachi, like, acting. Like, Itachi could have, I won't say he could have killed Sasuke 2.5, but realistically, he could have ended the fight a lot sooner than it was, and he probably didn't necessarily have to die to do it. So, I think in regards to power scaling and taking, things from this battle, I'm always, like, super hesitant because people always have that, contention against it. I'd prefer him use, like, a lot of the scales that we did get from Ito Itachi, even though we're not talking about Ito Itachi. It is healthy Itachi, but also talking about Itachi versus other characters like back in the day. I don't know.
I mean, that would be a good argument if he had actually said that he was surprised out loud and not thought it in his head where Sasuke couldn't hear him. And even then, when he's reanimated, during his fight with Bee and Naruto, he still uses shuriken. Granted, they're flaming shuriken, but it's still obviously something that Itachi considers at least a minor threat to a person's safety, so I imagine that a full power punch or kick from the Raikage or Tsunade, especially if they're amped up by Inoki, I mean, Itachi's just not walking away from an attack.
Yeah, I think that's the lead. And Five Kage even got into a little bit of, I should say, controversy the other day when he talked about how if Sakura got a clean hit on Madara's probably not walking away from that, which is absolutely elite, which is absolutely true. The question is, can they land a legitimate hit on Itachi? We talked about how, speed feats in regards to the Raikage and Itachi. Itachi's slower than Raikage, but I still don't necessarily see Itachi, allowing someone to get a clean hit on him like that, especially two characters like the Raikage and Tsunade. That's just not happening.
Like that, completely unscathed. It's not.
It was good, my guy. Glock biting, bro. Holy.
Gonna happen. I don't think he'd die in like one hit or whatever, but a handful of these attacks should be more than enough to get the job done, at least assuming Itachi isn't being protected by his Susanoo. I know some people are bound to disagree with me, but Tsunade's strength is no joke, and neither is the Raikage's. For example, B was really scared when he saw A power up to max against Naruto, and even implied that he thought the Raikage's next attack was gonna one-shot him. Now, I'm not saying that A could kill Casey and Naruto with one punch. B was probably wrong, and saying otherwise would be a little...
Probably. Imagine. This is just too much. I get the overall point, you feel me? But statements from actual characters, especially in a situation like this where it's proven incorrect, I don't know if you can really take that for power scaling. But I get where my guy Five Kage coming from. Killer Bee is extremely scared.
Ridiculous. But for B to even consider this a possibility...
Why I keep on saying Killer Bee when I mean the Raikage? You know what I'm talking about.
punch would have to be strong enough to at least injure Naruto. I think a really good way to drive my point home is by bringing up Sasuke's fight with the Five Kage again, specifically his fight with the Raikage. Now, I know Itachi in his prime should be quite a bit stronger than Sasuke was at this point, but I don't think there's any reason to assume that there's some massive gulf between them as far as durability is concerned. Susanoo aside, what the two of them can withstand should be pretty similar, and Sasuke couldn't just stand there and take what the Raikage was dishing out. He had to constantly, throughout the whole fight, protect himself with his Susanoo ribcage. Furthermore, Sasuke didn't seem too confident in the ribcage's ability to protect him, because right after he brings it out, like as in the first time the Raikage tries to attack him after the Liger Bomb, Sasuke coats the ribcage in Amaterasu using Kagetsuchi as an added layer of protection. And it's not like Sasuke was just...
I don't know if that's like lack of confidence. That might just be turning the Susanoo or your defense into an offensive attack. I mean, this right here was absolutely genius when I first... Still genius, but when I first seen it, my original thought was this right here was absolutely genius. I thought that the Susanoo, in regards to, you feel me, what Sasuke was able to do with it, plus the Amaterasu, Sasuke picked a lot of stuff up extremely fast, especially the fight versus Killer Bee. He used the Amaterasu on Killer Bee and instantaneously, out of nowhere, found out a way to actually put the Amaterasu out and actually save Karin. Like, this right here is just all in like a matter of a couple of days. Like, Sasuke is legitimately a genius. So this right here, in my personal opinion, it doesn't necessarily show that he was completely, you feel me, not confident in the Susanoo, even though I will say, what's it called? The Raikage is extremely capable of cracking the Susanoo, period, point blank. But I still think that Sasuke wasn't necessarily expecting the Raikage to actually break it.
Being paranoid or something, this was definitely a good idea, because right after he does this, A tears through the ribcage without any trouble.
Again, he's definitely able to break the Susanoo.
Now, Tsunade's strength kind of speaks for itself. She hits even harder than the Raikage does, and some of her feats are pretty ridiculous. She punches this gigantic hole in Madara. I've seen some people who have gotten confused and think that this was just a wood clone, but at least as far as I'm aware, Madara substituted his real self out for a wood clone after Tsunade hit him. So this was the real Madara, and Tsunade left a massive hole in his chest with a single punch. So no matter how you want to interpret this, I think it's a pretty clear sign that one of Tsunade's attacks is going to do at least borderline lethal damage to Itachi. I'm sure some people are gonna be like, well, Swag, you see, Baara was weaker because he was Edo Tensei, so durability probably wasn't all that impressive, but like, Edo Tensei nerfed or not, he's still Madara, and I really hope that there's nobody out there that thinks that even in his prime, Itachi is more of a physical tank than Madara. But still, if Tsunade, like...
I wish we would have seen Sasuke using the Flaming Susanoo more than once. I completely agree. The problem with Sasuke using the Flaming Susanoo more than once is the fact that once Sasuke got a little bit later on into the actual series, of course, fighting upper echelon characters, the Obitos, the Madaras, and of course the Kage is back even a little bit later on, and of course the Naruto to some extent. Not necessarily Naruto for this example, but they were able to actually absorb the Amaterasu, which is the problem currently in Boruto. The Amaterasu would be a lot more lethal weapon right now if characters were simply not actually able to absorb it. Not saying that if they weren't able to absorb anything. Let's just make the Amaterasu invulnerable to actual chakra absorption. I think that right there would be absolutely amazing. Like, hypothetically, if the Amaterasu was absorbed by like a Rinnegan in the arm, maybe the arm burns up, or a Rinnegan in the eyes, or a Delta's eye dojutsu, the eye burns up. Something like that. It has to. The Amaterasu just can't go outside like that.
Deleting Madara's torso with a single punch isn't impressive enough for you. She also cracked through his Susanoo's ribcage with one punch, and then shattered it completely with a follow-up kick. Now, to be fair, when Tsunade actually broke through the Susanoo, she did have help from Inoki and the Raikage. But you could argue that all they did was stop Madara from advancing further back so that Tsunade could catch up to him, because it's not like the entire ribcage broke apart, only the side that Tsunade attacked did. I should also add that Madara's ribcage completely shrugged off a Super Odama Rasengan. And finally, Tsunade also topples one of...
He says Odama. He said it funny. I call it Odama.
Madara's full-body Susanoo wood clones with a single punch, which is pretty similar to the way that the same level of Madara's Susanoo reacted to having a Hirudora shot at it by 7th Gate Guy. And Tsunade did all of this without ever having her strength increased by Inoki. Now, the thing is, Itachi doesn't really have any durability feats that don't involve his Susanoo. As a matter of fact, it's shown pretty consistently that it's possible to damage him with baseline attacks, like Kabuto's Chakra Scalpel, or even, again, Sasuke's rigged Shuriken. I've seen some pretty crazy takes about about the amount of damage Itachi can withstand on forums and stuff, but the one that's definitely the most absurd is the idea that Itachi's durability is like 10 Tails level or something.
I've always thought that Itachi wasn't necessarily the most durable character, but the reason for that was because he was always like sick or he was an Ito Tensei. We haven't necessarily gotten to see a proper fight outside of the Kakashi one, and of course he absolutely watched. Itachi showed up in that battle, but we haven't necessarily seen Itachi fight an elite opponent like actually when he's fully there. And I think that's always been a problem with power scaling Itachi, especially when healthy. I mean, sometimes I even put it on the polls on my YouTube. I'd be like, oh, healthy Itachi versus so-and-so character. They'll comment to legitimately say, we've never seen healthy Itachi. That's a made-up character. So I think it's always difficult to actually, find out exactly how durable a character like Itachi is when he's healthy, and especially so because, again, haven't really seen a big fight.
Because he should be relative to Naruto, who tanked the Jubi Cataclysm attack. So first of all, Itachi just isn't as strong or as durable as Naruto is.
My guy says, y'all probably talking. My guy says, so we're saying Sakura is light speed. Well, if it's me you're talking about, I wasn't necessarily saying Sakura is light speed. The thing I said about Sakura is that Sakura is, if she'd punch Itachi, Madara, anybody like that, they'd probably fold. If she got a clean shot. The question is, will she ever get a clean shot on them? That's the question.
Thing in the series implies that. Also,
it was good, my guy Tommy.
One panel after we see Naruto standing in the fallout of the explosion, we're shown that he was powered up by all of the Biju when he tanked it. Now, even setting all of that aside, there are two ways you can look at this. The first is that the Jubi Cataclysm wasn't even that devastating, because everyone who was there when it happened survived it thanks only to a little Biju chakra cloak Naruto created for all of them. Now, maybe you could argue that the only reason everybody survived despite their relatively lackluster protection is because they were much further from the center of the explosion than Naruto was. In that case, the second way you can look at this is even if it was a super powerful attack and surviving it was a really big deal, Madara, who was closer to but not quite in the center of the explosion,
should have survived, right?
His Susanoo to protect himself. And his Susanoo wasn't already active when the explosion happened or whatever. It's not like he just happened to be in it and didn't feel like leaving. You clearly see him moments before this summon his Susanoo in order to defend himself. So even if Itachi was comparable to KCM Naruto in terms of power and durability, which again he isn't, he still wouldn't be able to withstand something like this without his Susanoo. I feel like I spent too long addressing that, but I really don't want to get comments about stuff like this. Now let's move on to the aspect of Itachi's durability that's actually relevant, that being the durability of his Susanoo, setting aside the Yata mirror, of course. How tough it is to crack through Itachi's Susanoo depends on how we interpret a few things. Personally, I think he blocked Kirin with the Yata mirror, but I know not everybody believes this, and there's nothing in the series that...
This right here is actually a good question. Because, again, when he used the Kirin, it seemed like the Kirin absolutely destroyed the Susanoo the first time. It seemed like Itachi was a little bit late, and of course, because it was a little bit late, Itachi couldn't really summon the full Susanoo and kind of destroyed a lot of the Susanoo. And of course, Itachi survived, but it did destroy the Susanoo. Itachi using the actual Yata mirror to deflect it, I've never actually heard about that. That's interesting. That is interesting. That's possible.
Definitively proves it happened one way or the other. Some people think it doesn't even matter because Itachi was holding back, near death, and plagued by sickness, and all three of these things could have made Itachi Susanoo substantially weaker than it would have been if they weren't factors. All of these interpretations say drastically different things about the durability of this Susanoo, because even though it kept Kirin from killing him, he still sustained a few injuries from it.
My God, tell me this somebody didn't make accounts that says Lil Baara. What's good, Lil Baara? And what's good, Breezy? Any fan of Mello is a fan. Well, any family of Mello is a family of mine.
His cloak was also vaporized. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to assume that its durability lies somewhere in between that of Sasuke's Susanoo during the Five Kage Summit and Madara's Susanoo. Probably right in the middle of both of them. So in that case, cracking through his Susanoo wouldn't be easy for the Five Kage, but I don't think it would be impossible either. Now, if all five of them were able to attack it at the same time, that would be one thing. But at least one of them is going to have to give Itachi something to block with the Yata mirror. This means that at best, four of them will be able to attack the Susanoo at the same time, and really the only two with the physical attack power necessary to break through it are Tsunade and the Raikage, and I feel like Itachi is going to go out of his way to use the Yaramir to protect his Susanoo from the attacks of these two specifically more than anyone else. Now, the good news for the Kage is they have one, possibly even two get-out-of-jail-free cards versus Itachi's Susanoo. The first is something I've already talked about, and that is Gaara's Sand. If they're anywhere...
He kind of, oh yeah, he's showing the scenes right here. I was talking about how Gaara and Naruto gave Madara like a near-death experience. Gaara literally pulled Madara out of his whole Susanoo, which is crazy. Like, again, just more reasons why Gaara is the actual GOAT. People need to start putting more respect on my guy Gaara's name, bro.
Other than indoors, Gaara's going to be able to yoink Itachi out of the Susanoo with his sand. Now, if they're in a situation where this isn't possible, it is possible that Inoki might be able to just eat through the Susanoo with his particle style. Some of you might be thinking that I'm just giving Inoki a lot more credit than he deserves. And I get that, but this is actually based on something that happens in the manga. It's not as concrete as I'd like it to be, but it does have a pretty clear implication. So basically what happens is Tsunade rips off one of the Susanoo's limbs and tries to cut through Madara with it. Then Madara says, well, sorry, but you can't kill me with my own jutsu. Now, it's important to recognize that he says this while clad in his Susanoo ribcage. Inoki then immediately butts in and says, my jutsu can kill you. Then he fires a particle-style beam at Madara, and everybody's like, oh man, you got him, you killed him, good job. And Madara doesn't even bother trying to block it with his Susanoo. He actually dispels his Susanoo and goes out of his way to absorb the Jinton jutsu with the Rinnegan. Also,
Holy. Yeah, I forgot all about it. Yeah, I really gotta go back and watch Naruto, but I think the particle style could definitely work wonders against the Tosuke blade, 100%, if they're fighting Itachi. And of course, Itachi doesn't have the ability to absorb jutsu, so I definitely think this particle style could still work.
After this, Madara treats Inoki like an idiot, not for trying to use Jinton against somebody who can protect themselves with a Susanoo, but instead for forgetting that the Rinnegan can absorb ninjutsu. Also, later in the fight, Inoki just, deletes all of Madara's Susanoo-clad wood clones with a single particle-style jutsu. And even though we don't see the real Madara inside of his Susanoo before this, he says right afterwards that his Susanoo kept him from absorbing the particle-style jutsu properly, which, of course, implies that the particle-style managed to get through his Susanoo, and that means it should be able to do the same thing to Itachi's. So unless I'm wrong, and Inoki's particle style doesn't work this way, and unless they're in a situation where Gaara can't pull Itachi out of the Susanoo with his sand, the Kage have multiple ways around it, and that's without even mentioning the possibility that Mei might be able to melt it with her vapor style. So even if it's so durable that the Five Kage aren't able to break it through physical means, they still have a handful of ways of pretty much completely bypassing it available to them. So since the Five Kage's offensive prowess pretty clearly exceeds Itachi's defensive prowess, the only way for him to win this is if his own offense exceeds their defense by a greater amount. Now, since we're talking about Itachi,
it's crazy how we're 22 minutes into the video and they haven't necessarily talked a lot, or Swag Kage hasn't necessarily talked a lot about Itachi's offense, like Totsuka played, the Tsukuyomi. There's a bunch of things that what's it called, Itachi can actually use. I want to see how my guy does the actual Itachi's actual offensive and wrap up the video in a matter of 6 minutes? Let's see how my guy does.
Something like this is actually fairly possible, since he has access to a lot of crazy one-shot abilities that the Kage have to watch out for. I think the most dangerous things he has up his sleeve are the Totsuka Blade and his various genjutsu, especially because he can use both of
essentially what I just said.
them in combination with one another. Being able to immobilize someone with genjutsu and then instantly seal them with the Totsuka Blade is obviously pretty dangerous, but
pretty overpowered.
Thing is, Itachi can only do this to one person at a time. Even though it's not explicitly stated that all of Itachi's genjutsu are single target, we have never ever seen him cast a genjutsu on more than one person simultaneously. Now, before anybody says it, yes, I know that before Itachi first used Tsukuyomi, Kakashi told Asuma and Kurenai to close their eyes. So first of all, Kakashi had no idea how Tsukuyomi worked at this point, so even if he did think that Itachi was going to catch all three of them with Tsukuyomi, that doesn't mean that Itachi could have actually done it. It could have just been him being cautious, and anyway, nothing about what he says actually implies he even thinks Itachi is going to use it on all three of them at once. Kakashi told them to close their eyes because he didn't want Itachi to try and use Tsukuyomi on either of them instead of him. He thought his own Sharingan would give him some amount of immunity to whatever Sharingan genjutsu he thought he taught.
Yo, a lot of people like to supposedly, you feel me, clown Kurisuchi for trying to put Itachi under a genjutsu. Rightfully so, by the way. Rightfully so. If there's anybody clowning the series of Naruto, it has to be Kurisuchi for this only moment. But also, you gotta clown my god Kakashi for thinking that his Sharingan can actually, quote unquote, handle him now. What are we talking about? What are we talking about here?
Was about to cast. And if he had been right about this, and whatever jutsu Itachi was going to use didn't work on him, then of course Itachi would have tried to use it on either Asuma or Kurenai instead. And if Kakashi had only told one of them to close their eyes for some...
So is the Yata Mirror obtainable by for Sasuke? That's a good question. I think if anybody would actually... if the only way that I could actually see Sasuke potentially obtaining it is to potentially obtain it the same way that Itachi obtained it, which could possibly be like, I don't even know. Orochimaru was looking for it a lot, and supposedly Orochimaru said that he couldn't find it. One of the ways that I could possibly see, they reanimate Itachi and then have Itachi actually physically give it to Sasuke. I don't even know if that'll work. We know that kind of worked with Kurama and the and Kenkaku and Genkaku, where Obito essentially took Karma's chakra out of Kenkaku and Genkaku. Maybe Sasuke can like try to reanimate Itachi and try to get the Tosuke blade and the Yata Mirror like that. That'd be fine.
Then Itachi would have just looked at whoever still had their eyes open. And anyway, the idea that Tsukuyomi or Uchiha Genjutsu in general are multi-target is later debunked during Kakashi's very next fight with Itachi, when Shio literally says that Uchiha aren't super dangerous when they're fighting multiple enemies at once because they can't trap all of their opponents in the same Genjutsu. Anyway, even if Tsukuyomi was multi-target, I'm sure the Kage would have enough sense to just not look into Itachi's eyes. And before anybody says it, yes, I know the Raikage was caught by Madara's Genjutsu, but to be fair, he was fighting 5 Susanoo wood clones at the same time, so he was under way more physical pressure than I imagine Itachi would be able to put on him. Now, of course, I know Itachi knows more Genjutsu than just Tsukuyomi and his generic Sharingan.
Facts, because we did see Naruto get like completely turned upside down when he fought against Itachi in the first arc, well, not the first arc, but the first couple episodes of the whole series. Like they've literally seen Itachi, like what is it, like 30% of Itachi, and that Itachi had Naruto throwing Rasengans out of completely at the floor, at trees and stuff like that. It was bad, but
Genjutsu. So Chio's statement about Uchiha versus large groups of people, that doesn't necessarily mean Itachi doesn't know any Genjutsu that work on more than one person at the same time. But like I said before, we've never seen him use a multi-target Genjutsu, so we don't know if he can. It's kind of implied that Itachi can do this sort of thing in Chapter 5-4.
This is like the same thing with, we haven't seen anybody put any Otsutsuki members under a Genjutsu, but we think that that people can't put Otsutsuki members under a Genjutsu. I wouldn't necessarily say that he'd be able to put multiple people under a Genjutsu, especially the more powerful ones, because we've seen the effect that it had on Itachi for just Sasuke. Only one person actually break out of his Tsukuyomi.
But the statement about it is pretty vague. So basically what happens is Shikaku and Inoichi are trying to figure out how the enemy has managed to infiltrate multiple allied shinobi forces camps spread throughout their territory. The reason this is so weird is because they have sensory ninja stationed at all of these camps, but still somehow the enemy is managing to sneak past them. They later find out that this is because white Zetsu are impersonating members of the allied shinobi forces, and they're even able to manipulate their chakra signatures, so that even sensory ninja mistake them for the people they're impersonating. Now, the statement about Itachi comes from before they realize this. Shikaku hypothesizes that a Genjutsu is being used by someone on the outside, and the first person that he can think of that might be capable of something like this is Itachi. However, Inoichi immediately says that something like this would be far beyond the capabilities of even Itachi, so this doesn't really tell us much anyway. Now, to be fair, based on the way they're talking about him, it is kind of fair to assume that maybe he's used multi-target Genjutsu in the past, but even if that is the case, we have no idea how one of these would work, even if Itachi could use it, because we've never seen him do it before. Now,
and again, especially if he did it versus other, let's say he does it against 2 people. He's successfully able to put 2 people under a Genjutsu. Doesn't necessarily confirm he's able to put 5 people under a Genjutsu. So, and especially with the chakra reserve that Itachi actually does have, because we do understand his chakra reserves aren't necessarily the best. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, I do get why people bring this up, and I don't want to downplay Itachi, but it's a bit outrageous to assume, based on this 3-sentence conversation between 2 people who probably don't even know him all that well, that he has a Genjutsu at his disposal that can 1. Immobilize multiple targets at once, and 2. Leave them immobilized for long enough that he can stab all of them with the Totsuka blade without being interrupted. Even if they had been right right, and Itachi had been the person behind this genjutsu, all it actually did was nullify the sensory powers of the allied shinobi force's sensory ninja. So not only did they barely know Itachi, they also turned out to be wrong, and even if they had been right, the statement wouldn't be anywhere close to impressive enough to convince me that Itachi could just walk onto the battlefield, look at all 5 Kage, trap them in a genjutsu, and instantly win the fight with the Totsuka blade. Now, all that said, I still recognize that Itachi's genjutsu is formidable. I just don't think that he can use it on more than one person at the same time. He'll probably manage to trap one of the 5 Kage in a genjutsu they can't escape from, but since both Inoki and Gaara are capable of bypassing his Susanoo, one of them might be able to get rid of the Susanoo before Itachi can even seal the other with the Totsuka blade. And as long as the genjutsu that Itachi uses isn't Tsukuyomi, then I'm sure at least one of the other 5 Kage, particularly Tsunade, will be able to dispel it. Now, aside from his genjutsu, the only thing Itachi has that poses a serious threat to the 5 Kage is the Totsuka blade. But since Inoki and Gaara can constantly just yeet him out of his Susanoo, he won't be able to reliably seal them with it. To be fair, the 5 Kage shouldn't know how the Totsuka blade works, but at the same time, I don't think any of them, aside from probably Tsunade, I guess, would go charging headfirst straight into this gigantic chakra blade. Even if they don't know that it will seal them away as soon as it touches them, it still looks like getting hit by it would hurt really bad. Amaterasu
Absolutely.
might be a problem if it can actually hit any of the Kage, but the right
Which is why, again, I was thinking about a little bit earlier, which one of them can actually absorb chakra. If not, I haven't really thought of any of them. But if none of them could really absorb chakra, the Amaterasu would be absolutely insane. The Amaterasu might be super elite during that fight. It all depends on if he could actually hit anybody with the Amaterasu, because we've seen Sasuke dodge the Amaterasu multiple times during the fight, during their fight. We understand that Mangekyo Sharingan Amaterasu, or Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke, is nowhere close, like as fast as, like, let's say a Raikage, or even, let's say, who can I say? I'm not even sure. Was Sasuke faster than the character, like, let's say a Mei? He's probably faster than the Tsuchikage, but Gaara's Sand is probably like one of the biggest counters towards the Susanoo. No, I'm a Gaara fan, you guys know that. But let's keep it 1,000. Gaara's Susanoo was an elite counter to the Amaterasu. Even Sasuke said it was an elite counter to the Amaterasu.
Kage is fast enough to dodge it, as we've seen, and Gaara's Sand can move fast enough to block it. Izanami doesn't even matter at all, because he can only use it a maximum of 2 times, and each time he uses it, he loses one of his Sharingan. So even if he could get rid of 2 of the Kage with Izanami, which isn't even something I'm confident he could do, he'd still have 3 Kage left to fight with no Sharingan. So all in all, I'm pretty confident that the Kage have this in the bag. Now, I was planning...
I ain't gonna lie, Five Kage changed my mind. Coming into this, as you guys heard, I kind of thought that Sasuke, why did I say Sasuke? I kind of thought that a healthy Itachi would probably win. This guy changed my mind. I forgot the likes of the big dog Gaara. You feel me? I don't know how I was underrating my guy Gaara, but also the speed feats of the Raikage, because, you know, a lot of the things that he did bring up in regards to the counter arguments to, well, the actual arguments before he gave his counter arguments, those things made a lot of sense. Again, if I was debating against somebody and they brought up the fact that, hey, Itachi matches a character like Sasuke and Sasuke matches a character like KCM Naruto, we should immediately think that, hey, Itachi is as fast as, like, actual Raikage, 100%.
On talking about Edo Itachi at the end here, but this video is already almost 30 minutes long, and I don't know if I want to make a whole separate video about it, but I definitely don't have enough time left in this video to go over it here. Edo Itachi aside, I'm pretty sure I've covered everything I needed to, so hope everybody enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching. Take care.
That's pretty much it. Big shout out to my guy Five Kage, legend in the game. Puts out elite content year after year. Look, 4 years ago, Obito versus the Five Kage. I'll probably watch that a little bit later. Well, not later. I'll probably watch that another time. But speaking of, my headphones is like literally talking to me, telling me it's about to charge. Well, it's about to die. If you guys weren't necessarily here at the beginning of the stream, I said I wanted to get on stream a little bit earlier, but I couldn't because my headphones were about to die and I had to put on a charger for about 20 minutes. But it's about to die. But before I get off, I did want to kind of check the temperature on Twitter. By the way, if you guys don't know, this is my Twitter. If you guys aren't already, you guys might as well follow me, bro. Let's keep it 1,000, bro. Let's keep it 1,000. I do want to start tweeting more. I kind of chilled out with the tweeting. I don't know why, but I might pick it back up. I ain't saying I'm tweeting like once a month or anything like that. I'm probably tweeting like 10 times a month. I ain't on no mellow or free game wave. But You feel me? Matter of fact, I think Free Game actually does upload. But if you guys don't know, a couple of people that I do, when I say, when I talk about the streets, sometimes I'll be tweeting like, hey, Streets is saying such and such. These two guys are like the streets. You feel me? Big shout out to my guy Six and Kryptonian saying Naruto explained as well. But Organic Dinosaur is like the OG. Oh, Organic Dinosaur's account is private. So even though I'm following Organic Dinosaur, I don't necessarily want to show it on stream because it is private. You feel me? I do want to respect her wishes. But Abdul right here has a lot of information in regards to spoilers. I always check Abdul as well when it comes to spoilers. Speaking of spoilers, here's a more detailed summary for episode 244 airing next week on April 10th. Kagura removes the curse mark engraved in Bunten, Kyoho, and Hibichigo in order to help fight enemy forces, but it won't be as simple as that. If you guys aren't necessarily completely up to date with the manga right now, not the manga, the anime right now, and it's fair. A lot of you guys probably aren't, but they're actually in they're actually not mid, but they're at the beginning of the war. The war actually started. And supposedly Kagura now has to actually remove the curse marks from the inmates to essentially make them free. They're no longer a part. They're no longer jail. They're no longer inmates. They can leave. But I definitely did want to read the spoilers right here. All right, so they say as Boruto and company steadily prepare for the operation, they find that some of the enemy forces are heading towards the village ahead of them. Boruto and the others hasten to evacuate the people, as this will endanger the village while it is still unprepared. Furthermore, Kagura, who was concerned about their lack of fighting strength, removes the quote-unquote curse mark engraved in Bunten, Kyoho, and Hibichigo, whereby if the person casting the jutsu decides the people affected by the jutsu will die, the three are now free, albeit temporarily, and although puzzled, they agree to fight alongside Kagura, Boruto, and the others. This right here is actually huge, because in the last episode they're like kind of debating if they were actually gonna fight alongside them, which is crazy. Like you are actually part of the Hidden Mist Village. Like even if they go rogue, like they're gonna be rogue in the Hidden Mist Village. Like they're not gonna go to the Hidden Leaf Village or anything like that. Like what's going on here? I don't know. My guy ATG says consistency bar inspirational. This is a fact, bro. Speaking of consistency, I do want to know who's actually animating this episode, because if it doesn't necessarily seem like it's gonna be a lot of fights in this episode, but if there is, hypothetically, like we gotta see Anime Blue. My guy X says, I hope we'll see Kashin Koji soon. I want him to meet Orochimaru and train Mitsuki in Sage Mode during the time skip. Plus, he could expose Amato's true intentions for Kawaki's karma. This is actually facts. By the way, if I could, I don't even think I could find this ASAP. But I did upload the video talking about who Kawaki would actually train with. And I did kind of want to read some comments on that right quick, just to see what the streets is talking about on that video, because again, no one really talks about who Kawaki would train with over the time skip. Some people even think that he's probably gonna go rogue before the time skip even starts. Yeah, I'm not finding anything right here. He tweets way too much. I tweet like 10 times a day. He tweets like 50 times a day. But this is why I always have it in the bookmarks. Speaking of the bookmarks, let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I could. Oh, this right here is impeccable. Impeccable use. Yo, Stream of Baara is in full effect. By the way, my headphones are still screaming at me like, please charge. They gotta calm down. But give me a second. I'm trying to find the thread where he talks about the animations. Who animates it? We getting there. Calm down, bros. Why y'all yelling at me? All right, bro. Y'all gotta calm down, bro. How am I not seeing this? All right, I think I found it. Imagine if this is not it. All right, I think I found it. All right, so this right here, I bookmarked episode 208. If you guys don't know, this guy has who animates every single episode back to like Naruto Shippuden, which is insane. Like so like Anime Blue is working. Oh, let's see. Imagine he didn't. Imagine he started a new thread. He started a new thread at episode 248. I mean 238. Bro, we're never finding that. I did kind of want to look at some of the comments on YouTube, my last video. But I'm sorry. I'll probably upload a video talking about who animates the next episode, and also potentially even spoilers for the next episode, because that right there is actually elite. Baara B. It's crazy. I'm not even subscribed to myself on my burner. Like, that is different. That is different. All right, right here. Here's the video. Here's the video.
Set my clock, I can't stop. Fuck. Set my clock, I can't stop. Fuck around.
All right. Why Sasuke might train Kawaki and Boruto. I talked about Kawaki training with multiple people, but the idea was, of course, the clickbait. We gotta talk about Sasuke. Let's keep it 1,000. Sasuke rolls in the views, but let's talk about it. Sasuke be training everybody more than his own daughter. This is a fact, bro. This is terrible. Like, Sasuke is rumored to train damn near everybody except Sarada. Kakashi has a sensei would be fire. He needs to be in Boruto manga more. This is a fact. I mean, I talked about it in this video. They did talk about, hey, Kakashi is supposed to be introduced into the Boruto series a lot more. He's supposed to be prevalent a lot more. That's what the writer said damn near a year ago. Hasn't really happened as of recently. The next time that I'd probably say that Kakashi would be in the manga would probably be like after this arc. A lot of people think after this arc we're going into the time skip, which is 100% possible. But if that is the case, Kakashi 100% has to have a bigger role in Boruto Shippuden, or part 2 of Boruto, whatever they're going to actually call that. But Kakashi needs to train Sarada, to be honest. He's a great sensei and suitable to train any shinobi. This is a fact. I think this right here would be good. I question how much time Naruto's going to have throughout the time skip to actually train Sarada. We did see Tsunade do something like that. Yo, my headphones has been talking to me for the past 5 minutes, bro. I'm telling you, it's like every 30 seconds they ask me to charge my headphones. But yeah, Kakashi could definitely train Sarada. And because of that, I'm probably not going to be able to get through all these comments. But facts. Yo, do y'all think I should be replying to a lot of comments? The reason why I don't is because Naruto explained, kind of said that he his original channel got taken down mistakenly because they thought that he was botting by responding to a lot of comments. Ever since then, I've kind of gotten very hesitant, even though I still read comments. Some people be asking if I read comments. I read comments. I might like it. I might even favorite it if I'm on my main, but I definitely read comments. What else? I think Ida and Code managed to take Kawaki while he's still in sleep in the next 1 to 2 chapters. I can't see anybody from the Hidden Leaf training Kawaki. I'd see that if they wouldn't tell Kawaki that they actually did infiltrate the village. Once Naruto and Sasuke realizes that, hey, they infiltrated the village, I think they'd probably send word to Ino, and then Ino would probably tell Kawaki and Boruto. It would be extremely covert because, as Shikamaru said, he didn't necessarily want everybody to know. But I think Ino will be able to, give that message to them. But, you feel me? That's pretty much it. I do want to say, you feel me? Good looks for y'all actually joining the stream 2 days in a row. You feel me? We hit a new peak of viewers, I think. Matter of fact, no, probably, I don't even know. Ever since I came back, the past 2 days, we hit a peak. I think it was like 28 or something like that. 27, I don't even know. But I'll probably stream tomorrow. I'm not even sure. I don't really make any promises. I don't want to be like Rice Gum. Rice Gum be like, he's going to stream in about 2 days. Well, he's going to stream every single day, and of course takes like 5 months hiatus. But I don't know. But I definitely do appreciate y'all for joining. But it's been your boy Baara B, and we out.